Okay, everybody, upon a request from a student, I am going to be recording a quick tutorial about sculpting in Cinema 4D, exporting to Slicer, and then getting it ready for laser cutting. So here we go. First thing I'm going to do is start with a sphere. I'm going to change my startup layout menu to sculpting. I'm going to make sure that I make this sphere editable and then subdivide it a few times. Something like that's pretty good. A couple quick tools. I'm just going to use the grab tool to begin with. I'm going to ramp this up to like 300 in terms of size and just start to pull out a few areas here. Something like this maybe. That looks okay. I'm also then going to make this a little bit bigger, 500, and just squeeze this thing out a little bit more, give it a bit more dimension. I'm also going to use this inflate tool, and what's nice about some of these tools is you can invert them. Inflate would usually make a bubble, but in this case I'm going to make it so it goes in indentation. I'm going to ramp this up to like 150 size and then crank up the pressure to 50. And maybe over here I'll make an indentation. I'm just basically making an abstract form as a quick example so we can test this out. I'll go underneath, maybe here as well. Do another little area. Alright, that's sort of a weird blob. Could be a sculpture. I'm going to keep it. Alright, from here then, I'm going to go back to my startup menu. You'll notice the sculpt then has this tag on it. If the tag disappears, so does the sculpting. I'm going to hit undo. So what I want to do here, so that I can do some further manipulations, is click on the sphere in the Object Manager, go to Mesh, and Current State to Object. It's going to make a new copy without the tag, so I can delete this one. And then I'm just going to apply a quick deform around here, maybe bend, and I'm going to move this over a little bit, and then put the bend inside the sphere as a child, and just change the strength to, I don't know, something like that maybe. I might even rotate this a little bit. Well, that was interesting. Now we're getting somewhere. Alright, that's a little better. Kind of bent, kind of deformed. Here again, I'm just going to go to Mesh, Conversion, Current State to Object. The only reason why I'm doing this is just so that I can scale this a little bit differently. So I'm going to shrink this down, and sure, I like that. Let's keep it. So what I'm going to do now is export this. File, Export, STL. I'll save it to this laser cut folder, and we're going to call this blob 2. Okay, next step, I'm going to open up Slicer for Fusion 360 and import this model. Blob 2 STL. Bring this in. Default scale here is about 8, and we can just take a look at it here. So if I hold this, click this, and hold it and move it around, I can look at the orientation. This button here allows you to rotate it, the object, different angles. I'm going to keep that. Now we're going to plot this to our laser cutter, and the bed size of the laser cutter is 12 by 18. So I'm just going to grab a sheet here, A3, just close to 12 by 18. I'm going to do that first. And then down here it's going to ask you for, it's going to show you the width, the length of the material, and also the thickness. I'm going to use 1/4 inch cardboard. So I'm going to change this to 0.25. Okay, and then I'm going to choose a technique. In this case, I want to create stacked slices. Click this, and it will plot all of those slices onto 8 sheets to create this model. Now at any time, I could change the scale, change the length from 8, let's say 5 inches. Then I'll get less parts, or I'm sorry, yeah, less parts on fewer sheets. So 20 parts, 2 sheets. I can live with that. That looks pretty good. Also, if you wanted to change the slice direction, you can click on here and grab this tool, and then you can click and move this and move it around. That will change the slice direction. I don't really care for that. I'm going to undo it and go with the original one, which was this, which I much better prefer. So what I'm going to do now is, since I'm happy with this model, I'm going to export it and bring it out, open into Illustrator. So in this case, one quick thing too, you can check out the assembly steps, which is fun. So in this case, we can go to the beginning actually, go to the start, and you can just click through and see how all the pieces fit together. So if you save this file, you can go back to this later when you're assembling it if you need to. Okay, I'm going to go to Get Plans. We want to save it as an EPS, and I'm going to export it to my computer. So I'm just going to change this to Blob 2, save it, and then we can, well, what typically happens if you save more than one, if it's more than one sheet, it may save it as a zip file. Here we go, Blob 2 zip. So I'm just going to click this open, and now I've got those. Let's go with the first one, and I'm just going to open this with Illustrator. Okay, so I've got the file in Illustrator. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. It's got this default document. So I need to change the artboard, and I'm also going to rotate it so it fits better on the laser. Edit artboard. We're going to make this 17 by 12. And then click Selection Tool, grab everything, Object, Transform, Rotate 90. Perfect. And then I'm just going to change the stroke weights so that it's set up for the laser cutter. So here what we can do, we have red, which is going to be engraved, just a quick engraving, so that'll mark each piece. And the blue, we're going to change to black, so it will cut out. So what I can do is grab the direct selection tool. Let's zoom in so we can see what we're doing here. I'm going to grab the red here, and then I'm going to go to Select and Same Stroke Color. So all the red now is selected, which is great. I just want to check the red to make sure it is. You want it to be 255 red and 0 green, 0 blue. Okay, and then change the stroke to 0.001. Next, I can invert to select the blue. Select, inverse, and now the blue cut lines are selected. I'm going to change this color to 000, so it's 100% black, and the stroke weight 0.001. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is there's this box around the outside. I don't need that. I'm going to select that, delete, delete. Now if we zoom in, you can faintly see we've got black cut lines, red etch lines, or engraving lines, which are going to be set up for the laser. So now I can export this and have it ready to laser cut. And that's all.